Hello and welcome to DPN TV here at the DPN Rover car collection. I thought I'd do this little video, an ongoing thing we've been doing, but a bit of an update as well. And if you've watched some of our past videos, you'll see how we had a problem with the sound from this radio. And by taking it out and replugging in the connections at the end of the radio behind the back here, and also on the CD changer in the boot, we more or less cured that problem, but we always felt so not quite right once we were listening to it quite a bit. And then we found we had a problem where when the CD changer was working, the sound only comes out the front and back speaker on the driver's side, but nothing on the passenger's side. And when we use any other function on the radio, like the radio or even the cassette deck, then basically the sound comes through all of the speakers. So that kind of ruled out a wiring fault to the speakers as far as we were aware, which then meant the only fault we could think of is that either there's something wrong with the radio or the CD changer or the wires in between. What we've done, we've checked the wiring that runs from this radio all the way to the boot where the CD changer is with a meter. So we've checked the continuity out on all the wires that are in the wire. I think there's at least sort of about 8 wires, if not more, and we've checked out the continuity of those, as I say, is fine with a meter. So that then leaves us with the CD changer or the radio. So what we've been doing is looking online to see if there's a second-hand one or one that's been reconditioned for sale. We haven't come across the CD changer. I'm not necessarily convinced it's that. I wonder whether it's the connections on the back of the radio that have gone wrong. We also looked at sending this radio away to be repaired. The only problem we found with that is the company we found, and there didn't appear to be any local companies, was a long way away, so we'd have to send it in the post. And one thing that worries me is if we send our radio away in the post and it got lost either going to them or on the way back, we've not got another radio, and this is the original radio. We don't know how good their repair will be, and speaking to them on the phone, they can kind of service it and check it isn't the radio causing the sound problem, but they said it's unlikely you'd be able to repair that sound problem because it could be to do with the amplifier, being that the speakers weren't working on both sides. So it could go all the way, all that risk, and it's not fixable. So we carried on looking for a radio for sale, and recently we found one. It appeared to be a small scrapyard that sells online. They seem to have good ratings, and they had actually a nice write-up about this radio, and it's the right one. Now, we have seen quite a few that are the CD version of this video radio, but not the cassette one. But as you can see, this is the cassette one. The only problem is it didn't have a cassette door, but I think that reflected in the price, because it was we got it for £23 in the end, and a lot of the CD ones were sort of £30 and more, which is a bit more than we'd want to pay for a second-hand radio anyway, because remember, it's not been reconditioned, it's technically 20 years old, and you're trusting they say it works. And even with this one, they say it works, but what does that mean? Does that mean they switched it on and the radio worked, or did they check the cassette player and the CD changer in the boot, which unfortunately they didn't have? We did ask that as well, but it come well packaged. It's come with the little case that it clips into, which hopefully we shouldn't need. They've left the wires cut in the back. Some people don't like that. We would rather that, because one thing, it's protecting the plugs. It also technically allows you to wire different wiring into it as well. So we're quite glad that's how they've done it, because it leaves us with a spare set of plugs, and we know that all the ends were protected during postage. So yeah, it all seems to be there, and actually it's in better condition than we thought, because especially being the cassette door was missing, we didn't know if the front would be in worse condition, and you can never really tell from pictures, but to me it looks as good as the one that's in our car. Now, the reason we've done this is, one, this may completely work and solve the problem. If it doesn't, we've technically got 2 radios maybe we can make a good one out of both. But also, if this one does work okay, we're probably more happier to send this one away to be serviced and checked, because then if something did go wrong, or it got lost in the post, or it come back working worse, so hopefully it wouldn't do, we've got an original radio working in here, so it's not to us such a big loss, so we're much happier with that. So let's get on with removing this radio and putting the new one in, and seeing if it solves the problem, seeing if it works just as well. Right, so this is quite a simple radio to remove, and we have covered it in other videos, but I think because this is probably a video in its own right, we cover it again. Is this uses the radio tools that we call the coat hanger tools, as they're like a U-shape tool, and they've got teeny little hook clips in there, and we call them the coat hanger tools because some people used to bend a coat hanger in a loop, push it into these holes right here. There you go, you can see them, and release the radio. But I don't really know how well that worked, because these have got those little hooks in there that let you pull the radio out. So it's far easier if you've got these tools. And these come in an eBay universal trim tool kit. So I think they're fairly readily available. And some radios do have their own unique key, which makes it a bit harder. So it's nice that this car is using this type of tool to remove it, because it couldn't be simpler. So all you need to do is push them into that hole, and that hole you can actually do it with one key, but it's quite hard, so it's nicer if you've got both tools. So all you need to do then is make sure that one's pushed in, and that one is pushed in. You hear it clip, and then you can then slowly tease the radio out like that. So I'm going to pull the radio right out. Right, so we've got the radio out, and I've just left it balancing there on the gear lever, and I've took some pictures of the wire layout, so we know that layout, and I thought I'd just show that there for you. And what I've done is checked that the wire colouring also lines up with the plugs that are on the back, and we've checked the serial number information that they line up, which they appear to, and I didn't see why they shouldn't, because they are essentially the identical radios. All I'm going to do now is unplug those, connect them into the replacement radio on the back there, and have that one sitting there, and we'll see if it works and find out what does work, what doesn't work, and see if the CD player problem is improved as well. Right, so that's our replacement radio plugged in, and we've just got it balancing there so we can test it out. We've got our original radio, and what I'll do is put those old plugs in there to protect those ports. And this is certainly very useful, because if you found a car where they'd put an aftermarket radio in and hadn't left this bit behind, especially this yellow one that's got no wires in, this could be a really useful replacement, because a lot of the Rover radios use this sort of layout if there's a CD changer in the boot or the glove box, so it's well worth keeping them. The only thing that wasn't on the original wasn't on the radio they sent us is this little black fascia which sits over the front, so I've also removed that from our original radio, and if everything works okay, then we will put that on the replacement. So that's the radio now slid back in, and we've put the fascia surrounding, and we had it running here testing. I can't do that because it'd be playing lots of different music, but if I just turn it off there,
we're in a different
you can see that hopefully is working, but I've got it muted there. So the good thing is the radio we bought as used is a fully working radio. Now, if you're aware of the radios on the Rovers, they have a security code system. All of our Rovers, the radio needs a security code, and this one didn't come with one. You may know from other videos I've said in the past that although I've not tried the services of getting the codes for a radio that you haven't got the code for, that I've seen on sites like eBay, there's sellers that if you give them the serial number, they can give you the code, but I'd not tried it, so I didn't know. And actually this was the first time we'd had a radio where we didn't have the code with it, because we've been lucky enough to always have the code with the car, lucky enough. So this was our chance to try that out, and actually we learnt quite a bit, because as far as I can tell, the sellers on eBay do give you the code from the serial, but it has to be the right radio. So they actually only provide the code for certain particular radios. So when I contacted them, they said that this VDO radio wasn't able to, or they weren't able to provide the code for it. So I got back in contact with the seller, and had a little conversation with them through the tech, which sometimes you never know of eBay. They might not want to know at all, but this seller did actually come back with some suggestions. The first one was to look through the internet and eBay, which I said I'd done, and none of those sellers could provide the code. And actually one implied we'd have to send the radio away, and it would be quite expensive to do so, which to me didn't seem right. So the seller then got back to us with a company I assume they've used and come across, who could provide us with the code. And all we had to do was give the serial number off the back of the radio and some details, and they were then able to give us the code for this radio. So I can now say that's worked for us, and that code did work. If I just let you show down on my phone, this is the company that actually worked for us, and that's their website. Hope you can roughly see that on the phone. If I touch that there, that should come up with their address as well, so it could be worth trying them as well as the other sellers. And as I say, I've no doubt the other sellers do work, but they couldn't do this radio, and as far as I could tell, speaking to them, they do most of the Rover radios. If you give them the serial number and it's on their database, they can do it, and it did work with this, because that code they gave us has fully got the radio working. So I just thought that was useful to cover. And what I'll also do, if you found this video, is show you how you enter the code. It's a 4-digit code, and all our Rover radios are a 4-digit code, so I assume that's pretty common with most of them. With this radio, they're all slightly different. When you plug it in after you've lost power or changed it from another car, which we technically had done by buying this as a working second-hand radio, once the word code has come up, you push button 1 and you get a 0, and then you push this arrow or this arrow either way, and it just sort of counts, 1, 2, 3. So if the first number was 7, you'd keep pushing it till you got to number 7. Then you'd push number 1 again, another 0 would appear. And for instance, if it was 2, you then push this button or this one, whichever direction got you there quickest, to the right number. When you've got all 4 numbers up, you then push the button one final time, and it lets you in. And if you do get the code wrong, you do get another attempt. I don't know how many attempts you get. I wouldn't want to try it too many times. Basically what happens is it comes up, I think, wait there if you get the code wrong, and you wait a little while, perhaps 5-10 minutes, then you get a chance to try again. So it's not a big panic if you got the code wrong the first time, but I wouldn't want to get it wrong too many times. So yeah, this radio is a lot better. It's certainly picking up more stations, and it sounds better. So I think there was something slightly going wrong with that radio. The only thing it hasn't done is it hasn't cured the CD problem, because the CD is still only coming, that's the change in the boot, through one side. So on the driver side it comes through both speakers, on the passenger side it doesn't come through any. But we've now ruled out the radio, it can't be that. We know it can't be the wiring to the speakers, because they work when the radio or the tape player is on. So we've checked the wire that runs from back to front. As far as we can tell, that's fine. So it'll now be moving on to the CD changer. But for here, this video is finished, because we've shown you how to change the radio over, add the code, and hopefully even told you some of the problems we've had that might help you in the future as well. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to look at some of our other videos. We've done quite a few on this radio, and hopefully in the future there'll be another video if we do manage to sort that problem out.